Good afternoon all. Thank you for the opportunity. Just briefly, JBCC is a non-profit company and we've got constituents very similar to the ones that Stan mentioned under the PROXA agreement. The difference is that we've got the contractors involved as well. This agreement is between the employer and the contractor, and then the consultants are the people who do the work between those two sort of aspects. We write 3 agreements at the moment. They are written in South Africa for African conditions. Our documents are used throughout the continent and elsewhere. We've got a principal building agreement which covers probably 80% of the usage at the moment. That goes hand in hand with an agreement for subcontractors, where there's a serious problem in the industry that contractors and subcontractors don't use it all the time to their disadvantage, but this is not the forum to talk about that. And we've got the minor works agreement, which deals with smaller projects, and in future we will look at things like turnkey agreements and that sort of thing. In the spirit of productivity, these are standard agreements. In other words, you don't reinvent the wheel every time. They have been proven and have been successful over the last 50 or 60 years, and they get modified regularly. And the idea of updating the agreements is to keep track of changes in legislation and in practice. And for instance, the next version, the contract data, will be 1 document, not 2 as it is in the present generation. And it would be made available electronically, much as we've heard earlier, that you can complete it and then submit it electronically as 1 document. So we're trying to keep track of the times, we're trying to go and produce the best document for our conditions, and certainly as far as building contracts is concerned, it's the most efficient and the easiest document to use, vastly simpler than foreign documents which essentially cater for the engineering market. I think in a nutshell, that's it.
So, a question, Hugo, what about all the rest of the suite of documents, which I believe you're not printing anymore, such as all the forms? There must be 10 or 12 of them.
All the forms are available as a download from our website or through
That's what I wanted you to say. So, just elaborate there.
The forms that Ian is referring to are the payment certificates, the payment notifications, that sort of thing, the adjudication rules. All of those forms are available on the JBCC website as a PDF file, so you can download them, print them out and use them, or you can get them through the eJBCC form, where some of them are, what's the right word?
Completable, in other words, editable.
Yeah, like the certificate form and so on, and completion forms and so on. And of course those will be updated or re-released with edition 6. The certificate form, for instance, will have an extra line in to deal with items that don't attract that, for instance, salvaged materials, and that we don't have at the moment. Any other questions?
I
Yes.
just want to add that all those forms are free of charge.
Yes.
So, you buy the JBCC once and the rest is all.
Correct.
Okay. Thanks. In a nutshell.
Okay, very briefly, I'm going to just describe the components that we have made available within the electronic service for the JBCC document. Similarly, exactly like we've done with PROXA, we have a reference section which purely allows you to reference every document, including all of these single pages, everything that's been published, not only in the current version, version 4 and earlier versions. And as version 6 is released, you'll have access to 5 from the viewing and reference point. So it's purely click on it, downloads it in PDF format for viewing only. The component that we call active schedules and forms, that is what Corné just spoken about. These one-pager documents, in some cases guarantees 2 or 3 pages, that allow you to complete. So if you don't want to just manually handwrite and complete the document, you would go into the active schedule component, call in the document, physically type in and print out as many times as you choose. From a printing point of view, same principle, you can print on a prepaid basis or you can print by credit card. final module within that is a CPAP module whereby we provide, we basically are being issued or access this information from SA Stats. What I understand, JBCC is no longer involved with the release of these indices. They are accessible from the site, not only the current indices, we've gone all the way back to 2000, I think the last 12 years, indices are available on a downloadable basis. So we will continue to provide those indices for those of you that want to access those indices, will be available here within that component. Then there are a series of add-on services. What do we mean by add-on? You cannot take an add-on unless you've taken a principal service. So this is a principal service. Once you have the principal, you then can choose a whole range of add-ons. And let's just run through and see what these add-on services are. Who is the principal service useful to? Project managers, principal agents, all the professional team, employers, contractors, subcontractors. Generally, the whole body making in the built environment. Obviously using JBCC. Add-on services, very much on the same basis as we have done in Proxa, we have provided the collaboration service. Exactly on the same principle, across not only the agreements, but all of the forms. So it may be a payment certificate whereby you want to collaborate and email it by inviting a collaborator to view a particular agreement or document, on exactly on the same basis, whereby he can view or edit any of the particular agreements available within the system. We have another add-on dealing with claims, particularly claims relating to delay and expense and loss. So your clause 29 delay claims are dealt with within the system, both for principal agent, main contractor, and subcontractor. So if you are principal agent, you may be adjudicating claims that are coming through from main contractor. If you are main contractor, you may be claiming, or you may be adjudicating claims that are coming from your subcontractors. So it's a system where you log the data as and when they occur. It produces the notifications for you in terms of the agreement and sets the processes out for you in terms of the intention, notices, the actual claims, and sets up a process for you to follow. Project cost control application. This is our old Series 2000 application that was developed more than 12 years ago, that's still in current use. And it's more than just completion of a payment certificate or a notification statement. It's dealing with the full project, the cost reporting, the budget reporting, the notification statements. It's the whole makeup of a project, not only the current certificate, but the history of all of the previous certificates. We will go into a bit more detail in each of these. Automated payment certificates, it's a much more simplistic application compared to this, whereby for whatever reason you want to produce a recovery statement at a point in time, you call in, it's database driven, you feed in the numbers, and it will do the basic and simplistic calculation of this field plus 14% VAT. That's the amount that's due and payable. It doesn't store the historic information. It's current, quick and easy to use, and I'd say more for the consultants that are not getting involved in the valuation exercise. They just need to produce a payment certificate and they need to create it quickly. Feed in the numbers, generally provided by the quantity surveyor, feed in a number, print it out, and it's done. So a much quicker and simpler process that is automated payment certificates. Automated contract price adjustment provisions. What we have provided is an application here that does the calculations for you. So instead of manually going and sitting with the work groups and manually pulling out what the indices are at a point in time, we have a system now that does the calculation. All you do as a user, you feed in what is the base date, what is the date of this certificate, what is the value of each of the various work groups, and the system goes and interrogates and sucks the indices in and does the calculation and says the amount of CPAP due this month is X, and it goes through the full roll-up process through the certificates to your current certificate. So for those of you that are running on public works projects, government works, or projects that are using CPAP, it's a very time-consuming process to do this manually, and this is really just to streamline and make life simpler for you. Question and answer service, I will show you, it's very briefly where questions are posed, there are standard answers, and we have just taken, there's a library of the JBCC answered by either Uwe himself or previously Peter Bold, where there's a set of questions and answers to those questions. There's a form that can be used if you have a query, whereby you can complete that form. It really says, have you looked at what's available on the site already? Who are you? Are you an employer? Are you a contractor? What is the nature of your claim? Who are you? What is your company name? So that when it is received at JBCC, and Uwe is going to be the guy who's going to be answering those questions, they know, or he knows, a bit more about the basis of your question. Currently how it works is just receives an email and he doesn't know who he's dealing with. What is the nature of the question? Are you asking from a contractor point of view? Are you asking from an employer point of view? Are you an attorney? Where do you fit into this process? Just to understand the question. So it's really just a form that you would fill in. It's a free service that JBCC offers in terms of answering those questions. It's just a question and answer that we've made available. I'm not going to go through the detail of collaboration. I think you understand the principle. It works exactly on the same basis as I've spoken on Proxa. I'm going to literally just fly through the slides. It's exactly the difference. Obviously, the documents differ. That is really the only difference. Same version control, checking between one version and another. I think one of the useful features of this collaboration is the unlimited printing. So you pay for your document once, and you can print out as many times as you want. Same principle as last. No Adobe writer needed. Completion and storage of documents in project folder. Signed document printer is exactly the same principle. Copy facility, version control. Pricing, based on a monthly subscription, $259 per office. So it's office-based, you're not paying per subscriber, and you get included in is the access to the collaboration service. And what we're saying is, as part of this launch offer, we're giving 3 months free. So effectively, for that price, you're getting 15 months instead of 12 months for that price. So that would be a limited offer up until within the next month or so. Question and answer service. This is just the look and feel of how question and answers work. What you would do in the system, it's really just a database whereby you would select what agreement are you referring to, what edition, what clause number, and you can search by keyword. So you can type in what your keyword is, and you will say search, and it's going to find out. So let's just find. You'll say search, and it will pull out for you a question and answer to your query. Whatever questions and answers have been previously answered by JBCC to that particular. So if I type in payment, it will find every question and answer that has the word payment in, and it will refer to it by clause. So you can read through what was the question and what is the answer that was given by JBCC. That's really just a quick and easy way of filtering through and finding problems that other people have experienced similar to what you are encountering. That is the question and answer service. Useful to project managers, the same team of people. Searches, a JBCC database of questions and answers. Answers provided by JBCC experts that clarify and explain the practicalities of various scenarios and how to interpret them in terms of clauses in the various agreements. I think Uwe has been specific in that they do not deal with specific project queries. they don't like to get, they say, if you want to go into that, then speak to your attorneys, but we are trying to help you interpret and understand the interpretation of a particular clause. That is the purpose of the question and answer, and that's provided by Uber. I think those emails come straight through to you. Questions by the industry as a whole based on practical issues experienced in projects over many years. This is many years of questions and answers that have been built up. Search by agreement type, so it may be a minor works agreement, it may be a subcontract agreement, where there are certain issues. Search by clause number, search by edition, save on, so what's the benefit? You possibly saving on external experts consulting. I don't think the lawyers like to hear that, but if you can try and resolve your question at that point, you will save many hours of legal fees down the road. Short circuit the dispute resolution process if you can settle disputes based on answers in similar circumstances. Avoid high costs of arbitration, mediation, and litigation. Okay, so there is just an example. I think we typed in the word access. We searched. It filters through and finds every word access that's been pulled in the database and comes up and says, in the principal building agreement, in the 5th edition, clause number 3, there was a question, could you please explain the builder's lien? And there is the answer that was provided. So it's just a very quick way of finding questions and answers that have been historically provided. The project cost control system, I've just got a series of screenshots just to try and give you a better understanding of how this works. Database driven, really to manage your project from start to finish in producing not only your certificates but the full range of notification statements, payment advice statements, recovery statements, right the way through to completion, where it stores all of the certificates for you. You can go back to any particular certificate and say, I need the notification statement in certificate 3, show me exactly what the breakdown, how that amount certified was computed. So this is the look and feel. It deals with your provisional sums, prime cost amounts, budgetary allowances, contingencies. All of this data is fed into the system, and it will produce for you your cost reporting, your budget reporting to your client. If you are sitting, it's useful to quantity surveyors and possibly project managers, principal agents that are responsible as far as the rands and cents are concerned. It will produce for you tender reports, so that each subcontract tender, you can list the tenders, what their prices they submitted, print it out, and show and include a report to your client that shows what tenders were submitted for a particular provisional amount. Preparation of payment certificates, recovery statements, NS subcontractor notification statements, NS recovery statements, and payment advice statements. Preparation, not only is it your certificates, so it does your QS valuation, so it will create the valuation for you, including the statement. So the statement sets out the breakdown of not only the amount that's certified to main contractor, but how that is broken across all of the nominated and selected subcontracts, together with materials on site, materials off site, and the authorized adjustments across each of the particular subcontracts. Cost reporting, reporting on amounts against budget, reporting on variations. What type of variations do we have? So when we record a variation, is it a client request? Is it a tenant recovery? Is it for consideration? So you can categorize the type of variation against each item. Calculation of preliminaries. So it goes through payment of preliminaries, adjustment of preliminaries. Is it option 1, option 2? Based on that selection, the system will determine what is due for payment as far as preliminaries is concerned. It will automatically track previous payments. It will track the numbering for you, so that when you create or close off a certificate and you create the new certificate, it will carry over and bring in all your previous payments. And it's not only one previous payment you're dealing with your previous payment of your main contractor and all the previous payments of each of the subcontractors. So it becomes quite a complex exercise on larger projects where you can set this up in Excel and have myriads of worksheets all linking across to each other, but you are opening yourself up to a lot of errors once these projects become more complex. Automatic import of indices. If you are running projects that are CPAP based, the system at this level will also import indices and do the calculation for you. Database rather than spreadsheet driven. Stores history of all certificates, so you can show your client we're on certificate 24, pull out a report and they pull out a summary of all of the certificates to date. Automatic calculation of payment reduction, so based on the type of guarantee that is selected, is it a fixed guarantee, is it a variable guarantee, based on the selection, the system will automatically determine what payment reduction will be at a point in time. So as you go beyond 50% of the contract, or you get to a certain point, the system will know, should we be paying 100%, or are we at 95%, or have we reduced down to 97, or is it 98 or 99? As you get to the different milestones within your project, the system is automatically doing that for you. Close off of editing of certificates once issued. So once you issue a certificate, it prevents you cannot go back into certificate 2 when you're sitting in certificate 4 and start amending. It forces you to make your adjustments in your current. So it closes off and it locks down, closes off all your previously issued certificates. Now this is just some screen captures of the automated payment certificate application. You would select what you want to do, a payment certificate, a recovery, a notification. You would feed in the basic information, who the principal agent is, contact person, project name. You would say payment certificate, payment delay period, you'd feed in so it will automatically reflect on the certificate what the payment due date is. Feed in on a project by project basis into database. Multiple certificates can be stored, allows the preparation of those, all the different statements. Suited for consultants who need to quickly produce certificates and statements consistent with the latest released editions without considering the complexities making up a certified amount. So it avoids, it's definitely for those kind of guys who are not going through the valuation process but need to produce a payment certificate. As the latest editions are released, as 6th edition is going to come out shortly, there's going to be slight changes. It will obviously include all the latest updates. This is the escalation calculation or the escalation application. Provides users with an application to calculate CPAP provisions for payment certificates, useful to principal agents, quantity surveyors, contractors, subcontractors. No need to manually look up and insert indices, and I think that's really where the saving in time is. Firstly, the calculation and the manual exercise of getting the data, sitting and extracting indices across every work group. Work group indices are automatically inserted per work group based on the date of the certificate. The system will check, are we prior to the 15th of the month? Are we after the 15th? Do that exercise and determine whether we need to get last month's indices or current month indices. Work group base indices are automatically inserted based on the tender date of the project. So it'll ask you the question, what is tender date? Based on that, you'll go and interrogate into the cloud what those indices are, pull the indices in, and then go through all the calculations. Calculations automated. Roll up the CPAP across certificate 1, 2, 3, right up to your current. Why do we go through a roll-up process? Because the indices are being done on a historic basis and there are revisions that are coming through, we find that there are changes that are affecting historic calculations. So we tend to have to go back 2 or 3 certificates, feed in the correct indices as they are released, adjust the calculations, and roll up the calculation to your current certificate. That's just the look and feel. You would feed in, what's blue is what you manually feed in. So you feed in what the value of work executed for this month is. That's for work group 104 for earthworks. You literally feed that amount in, it sucks in the indices and does the calculation for you. So that's all you need to do is feed in what the value of work has been executed. The contractual claims management system, developed to provide and assist in the processing and calculation of contractual claims. Useful to principal agents, quantity surveyors, contractors and subcontractors. So it could be any one of these. It could be the subcontractor that wants to submit a claim to contractor. It could be contractor submitting his claim to principal agent. It could be principal agent assessing or adjudicating contractor's claims. And it could be a contractor adjudicating claims that are coming in from the subcontractor. Assistance with the processing of contractual claims, the notification and adjudication, specifically claims for delays and expensive loss, and it deals with preliminaries. So it's all very well saying, yes, there's been an extension of time. It goes through the processes that you would need to in order to claim your extension of time. Once that's been adjudicated and says, yes, there's 12 days, 12 working days extension of time, it will convert that into calendar days. It will tell you what your revised practical completion date is, and then do the adjustment of preliminaries calculation based on the option that you have selected in terms of the contract, option A or B. You'll go and do that calculation. So it's really simplifying those people that have to do these calculations in the event of an extension of time. And it is happening, it will happen on every project. There's going to be an extension and somebody has to do that calculation. Includes definition of holidays and capture of initial contract parameters. So this is a very important one. Many times guys are adjudicating and they haven't even tracked down the holidays within the contractual period. And that has an implication on your final adjudication, because the contract is very clear between calendar days and working days. And if you haven't defined what your holidays are, then your calculation is going to be incorrect. So the system is doing that for you. That's just an example of a standard notification letter. So it addresses it. This is a notification letter, notification of delay in terms of clause 29.4.1. It sets out all the processes that you need to be following in order to go through your claim process. What's the status, the slack, contract status of the day, what is the cause of delay, and all of this is defined in the contract, how you should be going through this process. From a pricing point of view, collaboration service, charged on a document basis. Question and answer service, we are giving that, there's no charge, it's included in this whole offering. JBCC contractual claims management is a monthly price of $325. Project cost control, $195. Payment certificates at $85. And automated CPAP at $65. So different offerings based on complexity, and you can pick and choose whatever suits you, whatever is as an add-on service. And remember, we're saying we're offering on all of these services as part of the launch, we're offering the extra additional 3 months is included. So in other words, you're getting 15 months rather than 12.